Cold open. Dale Ferris had grease under his fingernails that hadn't come out since 2011. He ran a two-bay garage outside Tulsa, fixed transmissions for a living, and hadn't left the state of Oklahoma in 9 years. His idea of adventure was ordering a burrito he'd never tried before. So when a smooth-skinned 7-foot-tall being in a silver suit knocked on his garage door and asked if he was interested in a short-term technical consultation off-world, hazard pay included, Dale wiped his hands on a rag and said, "Sure, beats Tuesdays." He didn't ask what off-world meant. He didn't ask about the hazard. He just grabbed his toolbox, because in Dale's experience, nothing gets fixed without a toolbox. Warning scene. The recruiter and a Vex named Oruntalme sat across from Dale in a briefing room that smelled like ozone and formality. A holographic planet rotated between them, red warning glyphs pulsing across its surface, like a heart monitor having a bad day. "Human Ferris," Oruntal said. "You should understand the survival rate of personnel deployed to Kethrex 9 is 14%. The planet has ended 3 previous expeditions, including one crewed entirely by combat-augmented Threll warriors." Dale nodded slowly, sipping the coffee they'd given him, which tasted faintly like batteries. 14%, huh? Better odds than my last marriage. Oruntal's translator buzzed with what might have been confusion. "This is not humor material." "Everything's humor material if you wait long enough," Dale said. The Vex studied him a long moment, then stood, gathering his tablet with the stiff finality of someone closing a door they didn't expect to open again. "Very well. Report to Hangar 7 at dawn. Don't blame me if you come back in a box." Dale just shrugged. "I've been in worse boxes. Ex-wife's storage unit for one." Squad introduction. Hangar 7 smelled like fuel and fear. Dale walked in with his toolbox and a thermos, and found 3 beings already waiting, each looking like they'd stepped out of a recruitment poster for a war Dale had never heard of. The first was Corveth, a Threll, 9 feet of corded gray muscle with a second, smaller pair of arms folded across his chest like a bored bouncer. His file, displayed on a floating tablet, listed him as the sole survivor of the Praxis siege, credited with single-handedly holding a collapsing structure for 11 minutes while 43 civilians evacuated. His skin was covered in ritual battle scars, each one representing a kill of something Dale didn't want translated. The second was Siskara, a Yith serpentine iridescent, with 4 eyes that never blinked in unison, always one pair watching while the other rested. She'd been decorated for infiltrating a hostile biofortress solely by rearranging her own molecular density to slip through a 2-millimeter gap in its hull. Her file called her the ghost of the Hollow Wars. She did not smile. Dale wasn't sure her face had the hardware for it. The third was Brune, a Doskali, squat, barrel-chested, with skin like volcanic rock that visibly steamed when he was agitated, which, judging by the state of the hangar floor, was often. He'd been an engineer of planetary defense grids, responsible for designing the shield array that had repelled an armada 3 times. His hands, when he flexed them, sparked faintly with residual energy from decades of live-wire work. And then there was Dale. 41 years. Old 5'10", a slight paunch from too many diner breakfasts. No scars anyone could see. No shield arrays to his name, no molecular tricks. Just a stained ball cap, a toolbox, and a thermos of gas station coffee. Corveth looked him over the way you'd look at a parking ticket. "This is the 4th specialist?" "Apparently," Siskara said, both sets of eyes narrowing at once for the first time. Command's records indicate he was requisitioned under the designation mechanical asset, human. There may have been an error. "There's always an error," Brune rumbled, steam curling off his shoulders. "Usually it is not this obvious." Dale set his toolbox down, sat on it, and unscrewed his thermos. "You all about done sizing me up? I brought snacks if anybody's hungry." Nobody answered. Dale shrugged and ate a granola bar in silence, entirely unbothered by 3 war heroes staring at him like he was a typo in their deployment orders. "The planet's gravity fluctuates without warning," Brune said, reviewing mission data. "Structures have been crushed flat in under a second when gravity spikes to 11 times standard." Dale nodded. "Sounds like my uncle's recliner. Man sits down, whole couch just gives up." Siskara's eyes narrowed. "That is not a comparable phenomenon. You never met my uncle. The atmosphere contains spores that dissolve organic tissue within minutes of contact, Corveth said. Full seal suits are mandatory at all times. Had a summer job in a chicken plant once, Dale said. Air in there'd strip paint off a truck. Wore a bandana. Was fine. Corveth's second pair of arms tightened. A bandana is not atmospheric protection. Neither was the bandana, technically. But I survived. Kethrax 9 hosts apex predators the size of small starships, Brune said. Steam hissing louder now. Their bite force alone has punctured reinforced hull plating. Dale considered this. We had a dog growing up that ate through a screen door for a squirrel. Guess it's relative. A squirrel, Skara repeated flatly, is not comparable to a 12-ton apex predator. Tell that to the dog. He didn't care about the size difference either. The terrain includes acidic swampland capable of dissolving standard boots within the hour, Corveth warned. We had a swamp behind my granddad's property, Dale said. Lost a boot in there once, left it. Never got infected, never got dissolved. Mud's mud. Sakara's 4 eyes blinked in a staggered, unsettled rhythm. You are describing this with the tone of a man discussing lawn maintenance. That's because it was functionally lawn maintenance. There are electromagnetic storms, Brune said, voice tight, capable of frying neural implants and stopping unshielded hearts. Dale thought about it. Storm season back home. Lightning took out our transformer 3 times one summer. Just ran the fridge off a generator till it passed. You are speaking of a phenomenon that kills experienced soldiers, Corveth said, as though it is an inconvenience to your refrigeration. Well, Dale said, it kind of was. By the 5th comparison, the squad had stopped correcting him and simply exchanged looks. The specific, wordless look of professionals, slowly realizing they don't have a category for what they're dealing with. Arrival and world reveal. Kethrax 9 hit them like a slammed door. The transport's ramp lowered onto a landscape the color of a bruise. Violet skies, streaked with churning brown clouds, a horizon that shimmered with heat that wasn't heat, and gravity that pressed down in slow, deliberate waves, like the planet itself was breathing. Corveth's exosuit locked up twice in the first 10 steps, servos groaning under gravity spikes. Kara's molecular shift ability flickered erratically, her outline stuttering like a bad signal. Brune's shield generator, strapped to his back, whined and sparked, overloaded by ambient electromagnetic noise. The sensors hadn't even fully mapped yet. Dale stepped off the ramp in his work boots and stood there a second, hands in his pockets, squinting at the sky like a man checking whether he needed an umbrella. Bit humid, he said. Corveth turned, suit hissing with strain. Your readings, why are your vitals stable? The gravity alone should have dropped you. Dale shrugged. I do roofing on the side. You get used to uneven footing. Skara's flickering form steadied just enough to stare at him properly. This world has killed trained soldiers within the first hour of exposure. Well, Dale said, glancing around at the churning purple horizon, the acid-slicked rock, the storm clouds boiling on 3 sides at once. It's got character, I'll give it that. Brune's shield sparked one more time and died with a defeated little pop. He looked at the smoking unit, then at Dale, standing unbothered in the wind, and said nothing at all, and which for Brune was somehow more unsettling than shouting would have been. The gravity wells. The squad's reading screamed warnings the moment the ground began to ripple. A gravity well was forming, a localized zone where mass itself seemed to fold inward, capable of crushing an armored transport like a soda can. Corveth barked orders, the team scrambling into braced positions, magnetic anchors slamming into the rock. Dale watched the ripple move across the ground the way you'd watch a wave roll in. That's just a sinkhole with attitude, he said, and stepped sideways out of its path, the way he'd sidestep a pothole in a parking lot. The well collapsed exactly where he'd been, standing a second earlier, and completely missed him. Corveth stared at the crater. You did not calculate that. You guessed. 40 years of dodging potholes, Dale said. Ain't a guess. It's a skill. The chorus vines. The vines sang before they struck, a low, resonant hum that scrambled neural implants and, in Siskara's case, made her molecular shift ability lock up entirely, trapping her half-phase through a rock wall. The squad's sonic dampeners overloaded, trying to counter the frequency. Dale walked up, listened for a second, head tilted. That's a wasp nest, he said. You don't fight the hum. You just don't stand still near it and you don't swat at it. He reached past the vines, careful, unhurried. The way he'd reach past a hive to grab a garden hose. And pulled Skra loose by the arm. She stumbled free, disoriented, staring at him. "You should be paralyzed," she said. "The frequency—" "Didn't panic," Dale said. "Panic's what gets you stung." The iron rain. The storm arrived at dusk, not water, but molten metal condensing in the upper atmosphere and falling as searing shrapnel. The squad sealed into a rock overhang, suits straining against impacts that dented their reinforced plating. Dale flipped his toolbox, upside down over his head, and hunkered under the same overhang, unbothered, humming something under his breath. "This," Brune said, voice tight over the comm, "is liquid metal falling from the sky." "Hail back home does the same thing, basically," Dale said. "Just slower, and it's ice instead of iron. You get under something solid. You wait it out." Log entry, BVOS Engineering Division. The human's threat assessments continue to defy standard doctrine. He does not calculate. He does not model probability curves. He simply remembers something similar and reacts accordingly. I am no longer certain this is a lesser method. I am beginning to suspect it may be a different kind of expertise entirely. One built from a lifetime of small, repeated dangers rather than singular catastrophic training. I do not know what to log this as. I have logged it anyway. The apex predator they'd been warned about surfaced at last, creature the size of a cargo ship, scaled and silent, rising from the swamp like a hill deciding to stand up. The squad froze, weapons raised, every readout screaming lethal proximity. Dale looked at it a long moment. Then he did something none of them expected. He turned his back on it and kept walking. "Dale," Corveth hissed. "It's not hunting," Dale said, not slowing. "Big things that are actually hunting move quiet and low. This thing's just sunning itself. Same as a gator on a riverbank. You don't run. Running's what makes it interested." The creature watched them go, unmoving, and slid back beneath the swamp without a sound. Skra stared at Dale's retreating back. "You have encountered creatures of this scale before?" "Nah," Dale said. "But animals is animals. Big or small, most of them just want to be left alone. Same as people, really." Something had quietly shifted. Corveth stopped issuing orders before checking Dale's read on the terrain first, as Skra began shadowing his footsteps through unstable ground, trusting his instincts over her own sensors. Brune had stopped sparking with alarm every time Dale wandered ahead alone. "He is not stronger than us," Skra said quietly, watching Dale amble through a field that would have vaporized any of them a week ago. "He is not faster. He is not more resilient by any metric we can measure." "No," Corveth agreed, arms crossed, all four of them. "He is simply from a world that has been trying to kill him. Quietly, in small ways, every day of his life. And he never noticed it was supposed to be frightening." They found the structure on the 17th day, buried beneath a collapsed ridge. Its architecture unlike anything in the mission briefing. Brune's scanners flared red the instant they neared it, then died entirely, as though the structure itself didn't want to be measured. "This was not on any survey," Corveth said, voice low, as Skara's eyes fixed on the carvings across its surface. Glyphs that matched nothing in known galactic record, arranged in patterns that made her molecular shift ability twitch involuntarily. Like something was watching back. Dale crouched at the entrance, running a thumb along a seam in the stone the way he'd check a weld. "Huh," he said. "That's not a wall." "What is it?" Brune asked. Dale straightened up slowly, for the first time since the mission began, not smiling. "It's a door," he said, "and something's been trying to open it from the other side." Behind them, deep in the ridge, something ancient exhaled.